Okay. Have a day. Yeah, Q's can get over that 61280 right off that pre-market plan. I can see a lot of these names moving higher. AMD's been respecting this 203 very well. I'm just waiting for that. So my main watches here is going to be Q's over 488.50 for the last 3 days. We've been flirting with this level and we haven't been able to hold above it. So if that occurs, I will be looking for that. And then I'm not looking to long AMD, so I'm just looking for that. And then I will be looking for this over 176 on the video. See what Google does. If Google can get above that, I like it. Guys, at open, I'm looking at NVIDIA and Tesla, guys. At market open. We're risk managers before traders, so right, half position size, and we're playing at the money cons. I think a lot of these names can really give us some momentum here if or when, Qs can get over to 612.80. You guys know me, I do not trade the first 2 minute candle. So we'll be looking for some of these to set up. All right, Qs is flirting with that. Very volatile open. Going to be remaining patient. Very strong open here on SPY as well. Very volatile open here on Tesla. Clean break right now on Qs. NVIDIA is looking solid. Not really seeing any relative strength here on the video, but it is moving pretty strong with the Qs. Big wicks, big candles is something I stay away from. That just equals volatility. So I'm just gonna be patient here at open. Um, if Netflix can give us a setup to the downside again, I like it. It's just a great confluence with the previous day low as well. Guys, I'm looking at a video. I just need a pullback here, 176.75. Like I said, I'm not spotting any divergence with it. It is in sync with the market, so I am mindful of that. Half position size, and I'll be playing at the money contracts. I'll type that out for you guys, don't worry. Beautiful analysis here. This market is not bearish. Solid pullback on the Qs. We needed to get back over that 612.80 so we can get outside of that channel. So, yeah. Super nice here on the video. So for the last 4 days in a row, counting today, Tesla's made it up to 488.55. Just can't seem to hold above that. But I am watching that because every time, we keep rejecting that level, it just gets a little bit weaker. That trade we took on, what, Monday or something, or Tuesday regarding NVIDIA, and it's kind of like what we were expecting and looking for, like just more of this continuation, right? Because I drew this out. We're trying to get in at the bottom of the range before it gets to the top of the range. So solid displacement here on NVIDIA. Hughes broke out at 612.80. It still needs to pull back and retest, so we'll see. There's a big RR trade here on Google if this sets up. And guys, if we end up looking at the Google cons, it's Google Class C. I don't know why it has two styles. It's the same thing, but if you really care, just know it's Google Class C. Because if you type in Google, you'll see Class A and Class C. I don't know why they did that, but it's the same thing. Very strong open here. Part of the pre-market plan, right? We said like, hey, if this is pretty much just a reversal, right? We've been pulling back. Hughes found support at 602.85, and then right back to the upside. So that's why, right? We always want to look for pullback long entries on a trending name to the upside, like the overall market. Let's see. Again, I'm actually looking at Netflix as well. It's pretty strong, but if this can pull all the way back to our key level that we actually shorted off of yesterday, that would be nice too. I'm looking at both NVIDIA and Netflix. See what happens here. Man, those contracts are super cheap on Netflix. Um, Honestly, if Netflix sets up, guys, I might. Let me see. Give me one sec. Yeah, if it sets up, I'm gonna play next week cons on Netflix if it sets up. Because the zero DTEs for me are just like way too cheap. So right now we're seeing Q's pull back and retest at 612.80. Yeah, big like rally here on Netflix. So if that sets up, that'd be nice. Very strong here on the video as well. I am seeing some selling pressure on the 15-minute time frame here on Netflix, which is good. I just want like a deeper pullback to 95.50. Guys, if Netflix sets up, I'd be playing next week cons. The overall market is pushing very well right now. So you can see what I see, right? I like this wick. I want to see us like push into and do that. And we still have this previous day high liquidity. So we'll see. Nvidia is gone. Tesla just made all-time highs this week. So I'm not too surprised with it. But I feel like once it breaks, or if it breaks 488.55, it'll be a decent break just because every day, I think I showed you guys, every day we've been starting with this level on Tesla. We just can't hold above it. Keep getting above it, but we can't hold. So I know eventually that's just going to lead to a big breakout. And then that reason I'm watching Google too is just look at the RR here. And it's over the previous day high if this sets up. So if Google can give us that, I love that. We're very bullish bias on this name. Solid breakout here outside of this channel here on the Qs. So that looks good. I'm not surprised Netflix is pulling back. I just didn't get a deep enough pullback here to short that. Beautiful here on the Qs. Right? I said anything under 612 we're hands off because it's a channel. And right, this was just a beautiful pullback, right? Beautiful pullback. Buyers found support at 602, and now they're pushing this thing higher. That's what I mean when I say you want to get in at the bottom of the range. So I want to see this channel turn into support. You can see, right? Clearly respected beautifully. Look at that. Right? Support now turning into resistance. Very simple. People just want to make it difficult. So Netflix looks good. Netflix looks good. I wish we got a deeper pullback here. It literally would have been the same trade off of yesterday because now Hughes is really ripping to the upside and SPY. And you can see the weakness here on Netflix. So I just wish I got a deeper pullback here on this name. But as of now, pretty much an inside bar day on Netflix. We're sitting between the previous day high and the previous day low. Now, if this can set up, that looks really good as well, just because this is also the previous day low. So that's a great confluence. I was looking at AMD. AMD is just strong with the market. Look at that. Look at that. I'm not looking to long this name off of 203 though. I think we can get some more displacement here on Google. I'm looking at Google, guys. At the money calls. Now, the thing is, be a little patient because uh, even though Q's is very strong right now, look at that wick. Even though Q's is very strong right now, Q's is approaching a weekly resistance level now, which is 617.75. So, this is why, give me one sec. This is why we wait for displacement and wait for candles to close because we avoid fake outs. So I'm actually going to be a little bit more patient on this because, right, I don't want to go long on a name when Q's is approaching a key resistance level because then if Q's rejects that key level, I can expect that on some of these tech names as well. The video is just gone. 30508. Okay. Yeah, Google looks solid. My main watch right now, guys, is Google. I will play the 305 calls, whatever the at the money calls would be, but I'm waiting because I don't like how Q's is pushing into a resistance level. See what I mean? So context matters. Right, this is what I try and teach on like the meaning of, skipping a trade and missing a trade. And in this scenario, right, yeah, that was a retest, but I'm being more patient because QQQ is pushing into a key resistance level. So I don't want to go long on a name and Q's rejects a weekly level because then if I get stopped out, I know I lost that trade. These candles are cleaning up here on Google though, which is something I do like. If Q's can get over the 617.75, then I like it. Yeah, this wasn't enough displacement for me anyway. Yeah, Google and Q's are in sync. So when Q's is pulling back, Google's pulling back. We have orange folder news at 7 a.m., but we'll see. I'm still eyeing Netflix, guys. Remember, if I take Netflix, I'm looking at the I'm sorry, next week contracts. I did type that out as well in the signals chat. Google actually looks good. I just don't like the spot that QQQ is in. When Q pulls back, Google's pulling back. I'll show you what I mean. See this? We're pushing into 617.75. That's a weekly level. So see this wick above it, right? I'm more comfortable going long on Google if Qs can get above that. But to me, it just doesn't make sense to go long on a name that's in sync with the market while the market's pushing into a resistance level. See what I mean? Because we could just expect that. It's already had a crazy move, right? We opened up under 612 and now we're sitting at 616. So it's already had a crazy move here. Like something like this on Google is what I'll be looking for. But I will skip this trade um, if Q's has a hard time getting over 617.75. See what I mean here? So if Q's can do that, then I'll reevaluate Google. But until then, I'm pretty much hands off. You can see on a technical standpoint, Google did set up not the best price action, but it did set up. Hope that makes sense on why I skipped that trade though, at least for the time being. Being patient here on that on Netflix. I'm not gonna try and be cute, but if I can get a deep enough pullback, I like it. I really, really do. And I'll be playing next week cons, so that's the safest play as well, actually. We'll see what happens here, right? It could just do that, give us a little breakout. We'll see. If Hughes wasn't pushing into this weekly resistance right here, different scenario, but it is. So I don't really care too much to take this trade. I'm not going to force it. I don't like the context here. Still looking at Netflix next week contracts. The thing is, you can see there's a little bit of relative strength here on this name. I would need to see strong sellers step in. Remember, the deeper the pullback, the better, because the tighter the risk. Yeah, I still need like a little bit of a deeper pullback here on Netflix. We playing the 95.50 puts, guys. Next week cons, the 95.50 puts. Next week cons. I'm looking at Netflix, guys. Next week cons, 95.50 puts. You can see it's a little bit of some relative strength here on this name. So we'll wait and see. Remember, the deeper the pullback, the better. So I'm just being very patient here. And it's next week on, so they won't be as volatile on us. Right? If we miss it, we miss it, so be it. I'm gonna let this thing try and climb as much as possible. That was about 30 cents away, so end of the day, like very strong open here, but we know we're bearish bias on this name. Hey Jason, market limit really kind of just like depends on the spread for me, but the spreads here, yeah, very tight. It's only like a 4 cent spread here. If I ever do like a limit order or something like that, I'll definitely specify. So like I said, guys, I'm just being patient on this, even though, right, we can't have FOMO kick in. Because if I get stopped out, I gotta wait for a candle to close above my key level. So the way I see it, my stop loss is like really that big. So the deeper the pullback, the better. That's just how I'm looking at it. If I take the trade, I have to let this stop me out. So I'm not gonna let FOMO kick in. If I don't get it, I don't get it. And just a little pattern here with Netflix. Like yesterday, yeah. So we did good skipping Google. It's not the best price action right now, anyway. This thing's moving higher. It's moving higher. But I want to see the deepest pullback and then like strong seller step in. That way, if we're wrong quick. And we're playing next week cons. So the contracts won't even be volatile against us. If anything, they'll move really slow, which is fine with me on a Friday. Big RR trade. This sets up. So I'm just being patient here. All right, we can't see a candle like this and then get FOMO and think we missed it. Like I always say, we're risk managers before traders. So this bull flag did end up setting up here on Qs. Look how strong the video was. Nvidia's been dead all week, besides the one day we took the trade, and then just straight upside. We opened at 176.75. This is exactly what we were looking for in Nvidia. So remember, I've been saying it has no problem getting up to 184.50. It has no problem getting up here. That's exactly what we were trying to do, getting at the bottom of the range. What Nvidia has a problem of is getting above 184.50 and holding. That's the only problem it has. All right, we're still bullish on this name. See these rejections here as Qs approach 617.75? Maybe if we get like a 10 cent, let me see. That's been some cool with. So I'm just waiting, right, for the deepest pullback here on Netflix. So I don't care about most think about, all right, how much they'll make. I'm always thinking about my risk first. Because if I get stopped out, I want to be as close to my key level as possible. Remember, the deeper the pullback, the tighter the risk. So Netflix is like slowly climbing. We'll see what happens. It's a slow mover. We can see our 617 right here acting as a key resistance on Qs. Qs might get over this. So remember, guys, no FOMO here. Like we're risk managers before traders. Like when I see this, I don't feel like, oh man, I missed a trade. No, I want my tight. I'm sorry, I want my stop loss to be tight because anything can happen. This thing can go against us, right? And then let's say we got into a trade here. Our stop loss has to be like somewhere up here. It's just a big stop. So we'll see what happens. And then, I was trying to look at Apple. Right, Apple just hasn't really had the best price action this week. I started off, like you can see all week, Apple's just really just sat sideways. It did defend market structure. It did. It's defending now, just at the bottom of the range. But Apple's just really done this all week. So no regrets here on Netflix. But this rejection you guys are seeing here, that's exactly what we're seeing on the overall market. I'm taking plenty of trades in my life where I said, okay, cool. The pullback, it was deep enough. It was deep enough. And then I ended up getting stopped out. Right. And then after you get stopped out, you think, man, maybe I should have waited for a deeper pullback. Right. So it's kind of like forcing a trade. Because some people would see this and say, okay, you take your shot and you risk above the high today. But I'll have to have my key level take me out of my trade. Because as long as we're under my key level and I take a trade off of it, my thesis is correct. So it's going to suck that, hey, I let the high today stop me out from my trade. I take a loss. We actually end up pulling back and then rejecting. See what I mean there? So you got to let your key levels do the work. I didn't get a deep enough pullback, so I didn't take my shot. 95.50 is our key level. We need to get to 95.40. So to me, just not worth the risk. Yeah, going into next week, this 488.50 is definitely going to be um, the key watch here on Tesla. Definitely going to be the key watch. It's no surprise. Like yesterday during the pre-market, or really during 2 days ago during after hours, I'm sorry, power hour, we did push all the way down. Buyer stepped up during power hour, pushed this thing up. We ended up flirting with it yesterday. Really not doing much today. Still too early, hasn't even been an hour. But tomorrow, I'm sorry, on Monday, really just be looking for that. We're looking for that. But we just made all-time highs this week, so we can expect Tesla to kind of do nothing now, at least going into the end of the week. I hope this trade, like skipping this trade, makes sense to you guys. Right? We're risk managers before traders, and as you know, I never think about how much money I can make on a trade because I don't know. I don't know how much I'll make, but I know how much I can lose on a trade. So control what you can control. So Trust me, I've gotten cooked a lot of times. Like, all right, cool, we got high day rejection, but this is more than like a bit more of a 30 cent gap. And then, right, our stop loss has to be above our key level. So that's just a big stop loss for me to take that trade. And so everything is easy to say in hindsight. So, right, my entry criteria didn't set up, so I didn't take the trade. It's very simple. Hope that makes sense. Right, and then we skip Google as well. And that was a good skip because we would have got stopped out there. Why? Because you can see Q's is having a tough time getting over the 617.75. Q's did well, right? Kind of, right? Breaking retest, 612.80, top of the range. So very strong day. Morning so far on the Qs. Let's see. We'll see what's up here. It hasn't even been an hour yet. Yesterday, Netflix tested our patience, so who knows, right? This thing could do that or could do that. Strong day here on AMD, but it's just moving with the overall market. It's crazy. So this 203, man, it's a weekly level though. It's a weekly level, so it's been doing its job. But if I go here on the daily, see what I mean? There's nothing going on in here. I don't want to trade anywhere in here. Sure, you could play the bottom of the range, but we're not bullish bias on this name. Like you only play bottom of the ranges on a trending name to the upside. So you can see we're actually starting to trend to the downside. But if we get under this 203, we are now bearish bias. So this is just noise to me. We're just letting our play come to us. Like I said, AMD is either going to do this or it's going to do that. It has to, right? Not sure when, but we're just going to let our trade come to us. But this 203 all week really defended very well. Today, um, right, the last 2 days, it looked like finally we got the break. And then look at this, just pushing with the Qs. And so what you see here today is just Qs pushing to the upside. If NVIDIA does set up, probably just going to skip that because that's more than a 50% retracement. Like this is our lower day. If this thing comes all the way back down here, the move already happened with momentum to the upside. If it sets up, sure, it may be a very slow grinder to the upside, like very, very slow, but this is more than a 50% retracement all the way back down. So basically the lower day, I'm good. So we were looking at this right during market open. Like I like the displacement here. I was hoping we got one of these, but you can see this thing just ripped to the upside. But look to your left. So did Q's, just straight upside. Let's see. Mm, This is exactly what we were looking for on Monday. Yeah, it was Monday because I know we took Tesla on Tuesday. So, right, even though it was a winning trade on Monday, I knew what I was looking for. Right, just look left. I know I broke this down. Look at 176.75 just doing its job, holding very well, very well. And every time we pull back here, we push back to the top of the range. So we're bullish bias on this name, and that's exactly what I was looking for on Monday. Friday, right? We came down here. Look at that hammer stick candle. So I was looking for the same thing to occur. But now you can see, right? Today we reclaimed that with very strong momentum. See, I don't want to take a trade anywhere in the middle of this. This is like the highest probability shot before we get back up here. Today we just didn't get a retest. Looks good though. But this will set up eventually. We'll see. That is like really our A plus shot. This is the dip buy. If it is still very bullish, we are very bullish on this name. Very, very bullish. Nice. So we pretty much called this on the dot, which is beautiful, right? Like the reason we didn't go long on Google is because of this. Like context matters. And I know at first it can feel a little overwhelming and, trying to correlate the market to the stock and this and that. It takes time, right? Like screen time. So, just watching and not trading is still trading, right? Mental reps. So today was like, it's not over yet. We'll see, but just like proper risk management. Like Google looked really good, but we skipped that trade because why? We saw Q's pushing into a key weekly level. Remember, the higher the time frame, the stronger the level. So I'm not going to go long on a name as the market's pushing into a key weekly level. And you can see on the dot, right, rejection. And then of course, right, we know what bearish bias on Netflix. You know, these contracts would be up nicely by now. This thing's moving lower now, as you can see. But we're risk managers before traders. Like, I want you guys to like really instill that in your head. It's like I want to teach you like proper risk management. You are a risk manager before a trader. So every shot we take, I want it to be a high probability shot. Was this? Absolutely. This is the same trade that we were looking at that we took yesterday. The exact same trade. Today we just didn't get a deep enough pullback. So it's easy to say, oh man, I should have took it in hindsight when it's working out. But you got to think, all right, what if I'm wrong? How much am I going to lose on this trade? And that's what you want to think. So let's go here to the 15-minute. Right, even though it's an inside bar day, I'm actually not surprised we had this big pop on the market, obviously because Q's was very strong, but we also swept the previous day's low liquidity and then pushed this thing higher. So even though it is an inside bar day, right, sometimes you just don't get them. See the difference? Yesterday, we actually got that deep pullback to our key level. So I'm not going to teach you bad habits, and we're not going to practice bad habits. Today, we didn't get that deep enough pullback, so we don't take the trade, right? Because see, if we're wrong, it's like, all right, cool, we're wrong quick, and our loss is very small, very, very small. This is not a deep enough pullback for me. This is like 95.20 maybe. So you can see yesterday we actually ended up breaking back above. Good little bull trap before we actually got that final sell off. So just trying to teach you guys like good habits. Remember, the deeper the pullback, the better. You always want to take a trade as close to your key level as possible. Because if we're wrong, we're wrong quick. We're wrong quick. We can take our loss and move on to our next trade. So today, yeah, just didn't get a deep enough pullback. So be it. Nothing we could do about it. Our thesis was correct. Our analysis was correct. Just the risk management didn't align for us to take the shot. Let's see. Yeah, nothing on the video. Let's see what Spy's doing. Spy looks good. I wouldn't be surprised if Spy can get over the high day. I wouldn't be surprised if Q's gets over 617.75. Be a big deal if it did. I kind of hope it does, because if it does, right, maybe we can get a deeper pullback here on Netflix. So yeah, really the only tech name that I'm looking at here is Netflix. Nvidia, let's say, right, let's say it actually does pull all the way back. I'm willing to play next week contracts into a swing trade. But I would want to see like strong buyers step up here. Since we're playing next week cons, they won't be as volatile. And I would just risk like right under the lower day. That way I'm letting market structure tell me, hey, you're incorrect. It's not ready. So we'll see. It hasn't even been an hour. Sometimes I feel like I'm sitting here forever. I don't know if it's just me. Then you look at the clock and you're like, man, it hasn't even been an hour since market's been open. So we'll see. Let's see. Someone from 34. It's not bad. I want to see a little bit of intraday support here. A little bit of intraday support here on Netflix. Just a tiny bit. I will watch the video. Like I said, we some way somehow like do pull all the way back, and I see strong buyers step up. I like the shot on a potential swing trade because we're getting in at the bottom of the range. So goes. Uh, See, like Apple, look at that. Like you just don't want to mess around with that on a Friday. It's just terrible price action. You do not want to mess around with that. That's the thing about Apple though. Like Apple, this is normal. Like it really is because just look left. Apple's known for that. Look how many days just did that, and then look how many days it just did that, right? And then look how many days it did this, and then all week it's doing this. So this is just normal on Apple. But the thing about Apple is, once it's ready, it's a beautiful name to trade. Once it's ready, like no problem at all. No problem at all. You see here, right? So just a very slow week on Apple alone. Super solid here, on the market. I hope these things are making sense. Like, we get these pullbacks and everyone's panicking, but market structure is still intact. So was our pullback here, right, to 602? Was that the key level where buyers said, hey, this is a good spot to load back up and push this thing higher? Seems so. It seems so. We won't know until we know, but right, to me, this is just all part of the trend. It's all part of the trend. We've started with this very well, right? We can get over 629.05. I got to take my shot there. Obviously, that wouldn't be today, but this is a key resistance level, and this is our last level before we see all-time highs. So we'll see, right? Can we see all-time highs before the year ends, like a new one? Maybe. We're already very up on the year. So that just looks really solid. So today's really a solid day here on spot on Qs. Solid open, I guess I should say. And then this was just beautiful here on the spot. It just wasn't the best price action, right? If you were able to get in like during power hour, maybe. But remember, we broke this down. We ended up getting a breakout here over 673. And a week goes by, 2 weeks goes by, and people tend to forget, right? Oh man, we still need a retest on this key level. So that's why, right, we always do our top-down analysis on the weekend, like I'm teaching you guys. And I noticed this coming into the week. So once I saw the sell-off, I'm not thinking short. I'm thinking, oh man, we need a retest here to push this thing higher. So, right, the swing trade that we took this week, it was a really good shot. We took it at the bottom of the range. And it wasn't that we were incorrect. It was just the market just needed a deeper pullback. That's all. So you can see, right, we pulled back to 673 in the last 2 days, just to the upside. You can see there's some resistance here on the daily. Even today, once again, the last 4 days in a row, we pretty much had like an inside bar day. When you look at it from my perspective, give me one sec. Look at these wicks. We're having a hard time getting above that. So the market really hasn't done much this week besides really our big pullback day here to 673 on that retest. But see what I mean when I say, hey, you want to get in at the bottom of the range before we get back to the top? So we pulled to 673 and now we're at 679, right? And we pushed back up into here. So I feel like once SPY can break, just get above that, it'd be really, really good. And then keep in mind, right, we're basically getting in at the bottom of this channel before we get back to the top here. So this market is still intact, right? We just went on a crazy run to the upside. So these, couple of days of us pulling back is normal. It's normal. Let's see. Yeah, I think everything's just pretty exhausted at this point. Beautiful rejection here on the Qs, right off our key level. And now you can see we're pretty much just moving lower. And the video is following the market. And then beautiful stair step here on Netflix to the downside. So all these things are just pretty much pulling back. See what happens. Here on the SPY, go in the intraday. Who knows? We'll see. The one thing I'm noticing here is on the intraday, right? We did break our weekly 678.45. See right here, but we never got the retest. So I wouldn't be surprised if, hey, we pull back, find some support, and then see a bounce on these names. We'll see. Yeah. I'll definitely I definitely will sit around till 8 o'clock. Right to Friday. I'm gonna see what sets up. It's 7:26, so almost an hour, pretty much an hour of market being open. Very strong open though. Very strong open. First half an hour, yeah, if you can see my screen, like bottom left, 7 o'clock on the dot. So first half hour market open, just straight upside. So the only way I take this is if this does that, or like buyers step up here on the cues. But you can see, right? Look at these two names, they're in sync, in sync. So I'm not going to go long here on the video for a swing trade at the bottom of the range if Hughes just wants to stay heavy and do that. Because these two names are pretty much identical twins right now. Look at that. It's textbook. So if Hughes is heavy, I'm not taking my shot here on the video. Now, if Netflix wants to do that, that looks good. Wish we got that deeper pullback. That would have been a solid trade to the downside. Because we know we're trending. Like, we are trending lower. So that would have been a solid trade to the downside. But if Netflix breaks under 93.65 with good displacement, I would not mind giving that a shot, just because we'll also be under the previous day low. And if the market wants to stay heavy too, I love it. That's the only name that we're really bearish on, Netflix. Let's see what's SPY with this. At the weekly level. So yeah, he said we can probably see a bounce in the market if SPY pulls back and retests and hold this. So see, these bounces aren't a coincidence. So we're doing well reading the market. Just gotta see. What's the high day here? Only thing is, SPY, I'm sorry, Q's rejecting this. Q's is what's been moving the market this week. Early in the week, you can pretty much tell which one is in control. Um, and this week it was definitely the Qs. The Qs was definitely like in control this week, kind of controlling everything, even SPY. But very strong open here on SPY, like right before pre-market. I'm sorry, right before market open. Came on a crazy rip. Pretty much our first boring day. First boring day this week. Like I said, on average, I actually do take maybe 3 to 4 trades in a week. So if today is a cash day, that pretty much does set up within within my statistics, just based on my system. This would be beautiful to see play out. Pullback off this weekly 678. We'll see what happens. On the dot. Like we did our job. Look at that. Our key level on the dot, guys. That is like, you can't teach that. That's textbook, right? That's beautiful. So we'll see. I'm going to say you can't teach that. You can't fake that. So this is like the part where I think a lot of traders struggle when man, that is beautiful. That's no coincidence. This is a weekly level. That's beautiful. Only reason I didn't like this is because this rejection here on Qs. But you can see SPY holding that is making Qs bounce as well. But as I was saying, like what's a little difficult for most traders to kind of get used to is trusting the level. And that's why I hit on some of these educational videos. Like, it's not your job to be right or wrong, because it's very hard to trade when you're trying to trade from being correct. Like when you're looking at it from that perspective. So you just have to take a high probability shot. And I know it's difficult sometimes, right? When the market's ripping to the upside, but I'm looking to go short. It's like, I don't know. It's uncomfortable, right? But you got to know what you're looking for. And like, most importantly, trust in your level. So I'm glad we're able to see these things in real time. Just hold up, right? Just get mental reps, trust your level, and just see it play out. So like, this is a beautiful like break and retest on the weekly. We just caught that, before it even happened. So seven, right? So this retest took about 33 minutes. And look how quick we get back to the top of the range. That's how you know it's a strong level. Like I said, I noticed that Hughes has been controlling the market this week. I mean, just look at these names, pulling back, Wick Hughes. So Hughes being a little heavy, or pulling back, I should say. For me, I'm good skipping this trade. This wasn't worth it for me. Now, if this was a week where SPY was controlling the market, very different. 25 more minutes here. See what sets up. I can see some resistance here. Guys, and I'm practicing what I'm preaching as well. Like, even though I'm not in this trade, I'm just taking mental reps on how I would trail this position, right? Where would I look at market structure and so on. So I can see there's some resistance sitting up here. It's a good move in our favor. And I would love to just see this gravitate towards the high today. That's textbook. That's literally textbook. So stop loss would just be under 679.45. Remember, guys, every trade you take, it should be a big winner, a base hit, break even, or a loss. That's how it should be. Right? It's either going to be a big win, a base hit, a break even trade, or a loss. So in order to catch your big winning trades, you got to be in the trade. So that's why I let market structure take me out, right? So I can ride this move as long as possible. I'm not necessarily a big believer in scaling out of my position because it's a coping mechanism. What do I mean by that is people scale out so they can feel like, oh man, I locked in gains, I locked in gains, right? But the way I see it is, man, if I scale out majority of my position and this thing runs, like I left a lot of money on the table. So I'd rather just sit in my trade and let the market tell me when it's finished. If you scale out, you're de-risking, right? You want to make yourself feel comfortable to hold your trade longer. That's an emotional based decision. So we did really well yesterday, like practicing that. Like the market told us when the move was finished. And guess what? When we got stopped out, it ended up reversing, breaking above our stop loss. So I'm not necessarily a believer in, scaling out because I'm predicting, okay, if I'm scaling out, that means I don't trust my move completely. And if I'm scaling out, right, I'm saying, okay, this is the furthest it's going to go. So let me get out here, right? That's me predicting or trying to control the outcome of a trade. So I know that sounds maybe crazy or a little confusing to some. Um, but someone that I studied, Tom Hogarth, he wrote this book called The Best Losers Win. And it's so true. He says traders don't realize that they hurt their P&L by scaling out of their positions. And we're always taught 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 2 to 1, 3 to 1. But I actually disagree with that. So I would just sit in this, right? And big winners require entry pain. So I want to be in my trade full position to milk it when I'm correct. When I'm correct, I want to ride that thing as long as I can to the upside or to the downside. And if I'm incorrect, I'm out quick and I go about my day. So I hope like that makes sense. And this looks really good. I wouldn't be surprised if this correlates with Q's. Like Q's does that again and then causes SPY to do that. But SPY looks really good. Sure, maybe you can move your stop loss a little bit. So yeah, like of course I'm gonna leave a little bit of money on the table once I let the market stops me out. But if I'm right, and when I'm right, I'm big. I got in on a trendy day. You know what I mean? So I caught the trend and I'm letting the market structure just guide my trade. Very, very simple. Especially with a small account, that's one thing I disagree with as well. It's like if you're trading a small account, there, in my opinion, there's no reason to scale out. Like, what's one con going to do, you know? So that's how I grew my small account as well. Just have a stop loss and have a either a profit target or just let the market take you out. And I promise you, you'll grow bigger. Like if you're only able to trade with, two contracts and you scale out with one contract, like I would it, you get what I mean? So when you're right, milk it. Like be right. Let the market tell you you're incorrect. Don't make the assumption that, okay, this is the high day. Sellers are definitely going to step in here for a double top and I'm going to get stopped out. You can't do that. So yesterday, like when we got the break of our key level, you heard me say like, hey, I'm gonna sit in this. It's a green trade now. This trade can't go red on us. It can't go red. So that's what I mean when I say every trade you take should be a big win, a base hit, break even, or a small loss. Because as you know, you should have predefined risk before you enter a trade. So my new stop loss on this would be 679.53. So if this stops me out, I understand that, hey, I'm leaving money on the table, even though I won the trade. But I'm thinking, hey, I got to be in this because what if it does this? See what I mean? What if it does that? So at this point, you're in a risk-free trade. Whatever happens, happens. You can't control that. So I hope this makes sense. Like I'm teaching you guys like really how I look at the market and how I trail my positions and so on. Like I'm not a big believer in scaling out. I've left so much money on the table in my career scaling out of my trades. Right? Go and look at your own personal trades. Right? Go look at your trades where you scaled out and then it actually just continued to trend and run in your favor and you left so much on the table. And then I sit there, I'm like, man, I'm trying to grow my small account. Well, that's what I did wrong. I was in a 40% trade, but I got out. I scaled out. And for what, So that's why I say, don't look at your P&L when you're in a trade because you will make an emotional decision based on your unrealized gains. You'll look to your left and be like, oh man, I'm already up $200 and you want to take it. You want to protect it. That's human nature. You want to like instantly lock in those gains so you can feel good. You can feel safe and feel like, okay, I won the day. Then it rips and you left $600 on the table. Like, trust me, I've been there. Sure. Okay, I hear you, Jason. That's something like we'll definitely work on. I'll come up with a game plan for you this weekend so we can work on that because I'm very big on keeping your position size in the same. Because, if you're nervous and you scale down, that's not a good thing. Because let's say, right, you went into a trade and it was a decent size and you end up losing that trade. And then your next trade you take, you're a little bit nervous, so you scale down and that becomes a big winning trade. But now it doesn't wipe out the loss that you just made because your position size wasn't the same. So we'll definitely work on that. Right now, then I would just get stopped out of my trade here, right? Because now I know, okay, the market just stopped me out. Hope that makes sense. Because then I want to look for that. So now I know I feel good about this. Like, okay, cool. I let the market tell me when the move was finished. I didn't make the guess or the assumption when the move was finished. But yeah, Jason, we'll definitely work on that. I'll come up with a game plan for you because one thing I want you guys to do is like keep your position size in the same. That's very, very important. Very important. Um, Consistency is key. And what I mean by that is you even want your losses to be the same. You want your losses to be the exact same because it's going to be hard to be profitable and, see your equity curve go up when your losses are not balanced out. Like one day you have a $30 loss, the next day you have an $80 loss, right? So position sizing is very, very important. So I'll definitely come up with a game plan for you, but treat every trade differently. Every trade is unique. Every trade is different, right? If I lost yesterday, today has nothing to do with yesterday. And I know that's hard sometimes because in your head, right, you look and like, man, I lost yesterday. So it makes you a little bit nervous to take a shot, but there's no correlations between trades. Every trade is different. Every trade is unique. So you have to treat them as such. So we'll definitely get down to the mental side of things and the psychology part, which is honestly my favorite because trading really is all a mental game. It's all a mental game. But I promise you, yeah, I'll definitely come up with a game plan for you this weekend and we'll work on that. Because the first thing I want you to do is like keep your position size in the same. And then the second thing I want is I don't want you being nervous going into a trade. I don't want you to be excited either. You know what I mean? I want you to just be neutral. Easier said than done, I know. But we'll definitely work on that. So you gave me a homework assignment for you this weekend, which I'll look forward to. And then what was my missing? Yeah, so this is like beautiful, right? This is the same thing we just did yesterday on our trade, right? We let the market say, okay, I'm finished, I'm done. And we're trailing this on the higher time frame. So that way we're actually able to give this room and let it breathe. Because if I'm, trailing this on the 1 minute time frame, every pullback is going to look gigantic. Every pullback's going to look big. So a trade like this, I'm like, hey, I won the day. It was a green trade. I got in right here. I mean, look, we got in at, let's say we got in at 678.45 and we got stopped out at 679.53. That's a good trade. It's a good hit. It's a good base hit. But we're practicing good habits. So when these days come, we're in the trade. We're comfortable. We're ready. We're prepared. Beautiful. And then I would love to actually give you guys, before we wrap this up, it's pretty much done here on the day. Before we wrap this up, right, the live trading session from yesterday is posted, but it's literally what we did yesterday. It's what we did yesterday. I think we ended up, yeah, somewhere here. Yeah, somewhere here. And we ended up getting stopped out, or we caught this whole move from the top of the range all the way down. And we actually let this candle form, right? And I was hoping this thing went green to red. It didn't. And we ended up cutting our position right here. The market told us, hey, Markel, I'm done. I'm done. I'm exhausted. Now it's not a good time. It's time for you to go home, right? We sold our trade for a very big win. And look what happens. We actually pulled all the way back up. Keep in mind, this is a 5 minute time frame. We actually got 10 minutes sitting above, so we definitely would have got stopped out. And then, right, we got that flush to the downside. So that's what I mean when like, hey, these contracts were just right here, like barely up 10%. So these contracts were moving very well. And then just on this little peak drop, these contracts are up over 30%. And then, right, we let the market tell us when we're out. So I hope these things make sense on, how I'm trading and how I maximize my wins. See, a lot of traders, when they're in a trade and it's green, their heart rate goes up because they want to lock in the profits, lock in the profits. When I'm correct, I want to squeeze that as much as I can. I want to milk my winners as much as I can. If my thesis is correct, I want to stay on the right side of the fence for as long as I can. And that way, right, when you do that, your wins are always going to outweigh your losses. When I'm incorrect, I'm out quick. Let me get out, I go about my day. So today, right, was just a lot of proper risk management. We didn't get a deep enough pullback like we did yesterday, so we didn't take this trade. Google, it's set up on a technical standpoint. It did give us the break and retest, but we skipped that trade. Why? Because QQQ was pushing into a key resistance level on the weekly time frame. And as you can see here, we were actually correct. Look at that, right? We were correct. Ended up pushing into this, rejecting, selling off. So we skipped that trade. So today was just a great risk management day. Great risk management day. So I hope all those things make sense. I'm glad you shared that, Jason. So I'll definitely come up with a plan for you, and I'll send it to you. I'll probably just make a PDF so things you can work on, and that's perfect, right? Because now we can start off the week with a clean slate. Because at the end of the day, guys, like my job is to teach you. Like you guys know, I love this. I'm passionate about it. So my job is to teach you. So I will make you a PDF. I'll ask you some questions like regarding, how many cons you normally go in, this and that. And that way we can properly, right, keyword here, properly, make your equity curve go up. We don't want it to just shoot straight up. We got to crawl before we walk before we run. So that's something, right? I'm glad you brought up at the end of the week. So that way we can start the next week off with just such a clean slate. But position size in the same is very, very important. I feel like no one speaks on that enough. And reason for that being is, I know it sounds crazy. I always tell people you want your losses to be the same. You want your losses to be the same. If it's $20, I want my losses to be roughly 20 to 22, 20 to 25. But it's going to be very, very hard if my loss is 20 and then my next loss is 60 and then my next loss is 80 and then I have a $10 loss. You know what I mean? So everything has to be consistent. And that's why I'm so big on keeping position size in the same. The only way I ever cut my position size in is on Fridays if I'm trading 0 DTE and I cut it in half, right? Because we're risk managers before traders. But other than that, right, you want to keep it the same. So I think I'm pretty much going to, one second. Yeah, of course, Jason, I got you, brother. So I think I'm pretty much going to call it here. Um, Really not much going on. I do like that we skipped this trade on Netflix because, right, even though I was stair stepping, kind of didn't get that flush just looking for. And I'm playing next. We would have played next week cons, so it wouldn't have been as volatile as 0 DTEs. And then let's just see what spot ended up doing. One sec. See what I mean? Look at that. That's beautiful, right? We let the market tell us when we were done, when it was done, and this ended up pulling back to the bottom of the range. Right, so this was a good trade, right? We took our shot here. We got to push up to here. We got stopped out here. We let the market tell us when it was finished. That way, we didn't leave any money on the table. We didn't try and guess the high. We didn't try and guess anything. We let the market say, hey, I'm done. And then we get stopped out. But I promise you, we rep that. We practice those good habits. That's how we catch these trendy days. It's by letting the market say, okay, I'm done. So today was like a good mental rep. Good mental rep. Same trade that we took yesterday. We managed this trade the exact same way yesterday. So we're practicing what we're preaching. So I'm gonna call it here, guys. Cash day, which is pretty normal. Today was a good day because we took a trade every day this week, 4 for 4 on the week. So we were bound to have a cash day, which is today. So very strong open on a lot of these names. You can see in the video, very strong open, never got a retest. Kinda here on the Qs, but I was looking at the tech names, not the Qs. Um, didn't get a deep enough pullback here on Netflix, nothing on Apple. And then, of course, if AMD is above 203, not looking to touch this name. Yeah, not looking to touch this name. Very strong day on AMD. Let's see. I don't even think if anyone wanted to go long, they could have. Yeah, you couldn't even go long on this name if you wanted to. So yeah, slow morning. Really nothing set up, but I'm very happy. Overall market. Let's look at this on the daily before we close shop. Right? History likes to repeat itself. So now we got to get above this. But what do you notice? We got that break, retest. So of course, right, we are bullish bias on this name, but now we just want to see Qs get back over 617.75. All you got to do is look left. It's the bottom of the channel. So tomorrow, I'm sorry, on Monday, this is something I will be looking for. A break and retest over 617.75. Not only is it the previous day high, it's the bottom of the range and it's a weekly level. That's a beautiful setup if that occurs. That's a beautiful setup if that occurs. Let's look at SPY. How SPY ended the week. Yeah, fairly strong on SPY. So SPY found a support at 673. 673. We'll see how today closes. But if we can get a daily candle closure above, 678.45, that's very solid here on SPY. But look at the last 4 days, just inside bar day. So we really didn't do much this week on the overall market. We really didn't do much. So great week, right? Great execution. We're all ending the week green, which is great. Let's keep this momentum going. And yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. As always, I'm always going to upload the lesson in the lessons tab. So I'll definitely see you guys tomorrow. I'll have the pre-market game plan and outlook out tomorrow as well, so you can look over it. And yeah, let's keep it going. I'll see you guys on the next one.